My dear, it's time for an attitude adjustment. Don't you just hate it when someone says that? Welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Women Over 40, where we elevate our mindset and trade hangovers for higher consciousness, one powerful snippet at a time. I'm Becca Jacobson. It's Monday. You're in Snippet Land, and I got a nice, juicy snippet for you today. Gals, before I begin, welcome if you're new here. Welcome home. You found your home base. If you're a 40-plus woman struggling with alcohol, this is where you belong. This is where we do it. This is where we make happy lives. We do. So stick with us. Welcome back to those of you who are snippet lovers. I am so grateful to have you here in my world, gals. I just feeling a little bit emotional today in terms of a deep feeling of gratitude for you. It's because I get to connect with you here and there, and some of you email me. Some of you are in my WhatsApp group, which, by the way, you can join. I put the link in the show notes, and it leads to a simple, free, open WhatsApp group for women in Snippet Land, and that would be you, my dear. So check that out. But more importantly, to not lose track of what I was saying, just connecting with you opens my heart because I see such sincerity, such earnest desire for freedom, such courage that it's so amazing, so beautiful. So keep being you. And remember, be kind and patient and compassionate with yourself. Okay, so if you've been around, you've heard me say this. If you're new, listen up. We talk a lot here in Snippet Land about surface dwelling. Now, that's not what this snippet is about. Instead, in this snippet, I'm going to show you a practice, a way to stop surface dwelling by doing a little practice here together on this snippet. That's what we're going to do. And so how do we not surface dwell? Well, first of all, what is surface dwelling? That's my terminology for gathering information and taking no action. Reading 10 books and doing nothing. Just getting more and more and more and more information, which is really easy to do in this day and age, right? We're inundated with it. But we don't get anywhere if we don't practice what we learn, and overload of information will get us nowhere. And so today, I'm going to show you what that looks like. I've actually been demonstrating it a lot on Mondays because last Monday was our last little visit with Florence Scovel Shinn in her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. And we looked in that book, it was actually a demonstration week after week of how not to surface dwell. Because why? Because we didn't even read the whole chapters. I just picked one or two quotes because we didn't even read the whole chapters. I simply pulled one or two quotes from each chapter and then talked about it for a snippet length of time and shared with you how you can apply it to your life. That is the opposite of surface dwelling. Instead of just reading the book as quickly as we can and getting it, it's a fun read, right? Instead, we stopped and went, well, let's look at this one paragraph or this one idea and see how we can apply it. That's how I want you growing. That's how I want you moving through your world, not just gathering information. And so today I have another idea for you. This is an idea. It's not a quote from any particular book. You could probably look it up, maybe find where it originally came from. Doesn't matter. It's an idea that came across my consciousness recently. In other words, I don't know where it came from, but here it is. I have it. And I thought this is something we can talk about, and we can take this amazing idea. I love this idea because it's slightly controversial. It could be taken more than one way. And let's explore it. Let's do a snippet on this one idea, and that will show that we are not surface dwelling. Okay, so you ready? Here's the idea for today, the idea that I found. And as I say, it's not a quote. It's just an idea. Here it is. The solution to every problem is a different attitude. Were you wondering about the silence? I just wanted it to land. Let me say it again. The solution to every problem is a different attitude. Gals, think about that. So how do we not surface dwell this idea? So first of all, The way I do this is some ideas just jump out at me. I'll be reading or I'll see it and something jumps out at me. Now, when things jump out at us normally, what do? We might tap the thumbs up. We might give a heart. We might even comment if we're on social media. We might share it and then we move on. That is still surface dwelling. If an idea jumps out at you, grab it. Write it down in your journal. Write it down in your journal in your own words. Look up any words in the phrase that might be ambiguous. Get out your dictionary. I know you know English, but look, you'd be amazed what you find when you start looking words up in the dictionary. Play with the idea. Write it down in your journal. Write it another way. Ask yourself, how does this apply to me? What would this look like in my life, etc. So this idea we have here, as I say, it's not a direct quote. It's an idea. We could say it another way. We could say, a better attitude can solve all your problems. It doesn't matter how we say it. It's a beautiful idea. Now let's explore it together. First of all, it's an idea that could piss you off. Sorry for my language, gals. It's an idea that could get your fur up. Are you saying I have a bad attitude? Is that what I'm hearing you say, Becca? Well, if the shoe fits, right? Listen, gals, none of us wants to hear, you got a bad attitude. You need an attitude adjustment. Remember when you were a kid? It's like that. You just adjust your attitude, young lady. Like, no, that just immediately sends us over the edge. And so we might resist this idea. When you say, Becca, wait a minute, are you saying that every problem in my life is just because I have a bad attitude? All right, let's calm down and take a deep breath. That's not what I'm saying. That's not how I read this phrase, but it is one way you could look at it. And it is the type of idea that could feel offensive on some levels. But I've been playing with this idea. I've been planning this snippet, playing with this idea, knowing I'm going to talk to you about it for at least 3 weeks. Just letting it roll around my mind when it comes up and thinking, yeah, I'm going to do a snippet on that and I'm going to wait, not ready yet, just letting it gel in my own consciousness, exploring it in my own world just to see. And honestly, when I first heard it, I felt my fur come up a bit. Nobody wants to be told they have a bad attitude. But if we just stop, take a breath, and look at what's actually this idea is saying, I think there's massive power in it. Now let's take an extreme, okay? Let's take an extreme. Something happens in your life that is horrible. Let's say somebody gets a diagnosis, a bad diagnosis from a healthcare professional, right? This is horrible. Things like that happen because life just wants to be life. No matter how much we struggle, life will keep being life. So let's just say we get a diagnosis that is scary and you're afraid and it's a problem and you're confronted with this. And then I come along and say, you could solve that with a better attitude. Well, you'd probably smack me, right? But let's think about this. If our response to that diagnosis is fear, or worse, pouring a glass of wine, and we say to ourselves, is there another way I could approach this? Is there a new attitude? Now, let's be careful here. Is attitude the same as emotion? I would argue in many ways, yes. Your attitude is going to be expressed emotionally. If you have a negative attitude, it's going to show in your emotions. I don't think we can have an attitude that's separate from an emotion. And so if your response to a horrible diagnosis is fear, well, that's natural. Nobody's criticizing you for that. But if we glob onto the fear, we grab onto it, we own it, we let it install itself into our psyche, into our nervous system, and we decide, I now have this diagnosis, and I'm terrified, and my life is now just one that's filled with fear. Oh my God, I need a drink, right? But even if you don't, oh my God, I need a drink, you're still now walking around with not only a problem of a diagnosis, but you've installed fear into your system. So if we say, well, can I approach this with a different attitude? And let's go ahead and agree that we will include in attitude an emotional approach to something. Can I install a different attitude/emotion around this horrifyingly frightening diagnosis I've been given? Well, the answer is yes, you can. Why? Because it's a choice. Every response we have to the world is a choice. Now, we're getting deep here, so stay with me, kids. If you are in reactive mode, if you're drinking a lot and you're struggling with alcohol and you've been failing and you're up and down, you're not going to be able to respond to anything. You're going to simply be reacting to everything. And that is a really painful way to live. So that means you're going to get the diagnosis and go into fear and probably spiral for a while and who knows what else, and eventually somehow learn to live with it and go through what you have to go through. And the whole thing will be really horrifying. It'll be a terrible event in your life, however long it lasts. And you'll look back on the whole thing as just awful and terrifying and full of fear and full of wine. Or you can choose a different approach. Now, here's the kicker, gals. Here's the kicker. You ready? Here's the non-negotiable. Here's the problem with this. It is a beautiful, elegant solution, but if you are incapable of responding, you can't use it. What do I mean by that? We're going deep. Stay with me, kids. Stay with me. What I mean by that is if you are in the alcohol loop, if you're still struggling with alcohol and your main thing is, I just got to stop drinking, and every time I do, I fail, and it's been another week, and I'm on my binge cycle, or whatever your particular situation. If alcohol is still involved in your life, and that is the struggle, is just getting some sobriety under your belt, you cannot learn to respond to life. You will be in reactive mode, and the reason is you haven't done the emotional growth you need to do to get to where you can respond to situations instead of reacting to them. Okay, let's take a deep breath. That was a lot. Inhale through the nose. Go ahead. Exhale with that mouth open, a nice sigh. Settle that nervous system. That was a lot, but if I've just described you, I don't want you to be upset about it. I want you to be excited because the solution's right in front of you. Now let's stay on track here. What was our phrase that we are deep diving into as opposed to surface dwelling on? The phrase is, the solution to every problem is a different attitude. Now remember, or notice, I did not say a better attitude. I said a different attitude. Attitudes and emotions are just things. They're not necessarily good or bad, negative or positive, until we label them that way. Sometimes fear is necessary. Hey, you're about to fall off the cliff. Get scared and do something about it, right? So the solution is a different attitude. If you're tangled up and struggling with alcohol and exhausted and your mind is racing and you're in the anxiety loop, how in the hell are you going to be able to stop and say, oh, I should just have a better attitude on this, or a different attitude? That's what Becca said. I should have a better attitude. No, you're just going to freak out. You're going to want to smack me, and you're going to hate the whole thing, and you're going to get your fur up, and you're going to say, how dare she say I need a better attitude? Because you don't feel great. You feel horrible. That's what it's like when we're struggling with alcohol. But the problem is we don't even realize it. We just think this is how I am. My dear, that is not how you are. You can learn to respond to your world instead of react to it. And you can learn to live alcohol-free. And the way to do that, we talk about this all the time, right here in Snippet Land. It's the way we do it is we go on an emotional journey. We go on a journey of self-discovery, and we don't do it alone. Trying to do that alone is like trying to pull your own tooth. Nobody does that. We go to the dentist. We cannot grow emotionally in a vacuum. We cannot grow emotionally without an objective reflector. That's what your coach, your group, your support system, whatever you choose, that's what their role. And they do it beautifully just by being there. So don't go and do some self-dentistry and don't do self-sobriety. You get the support you need. You take that emotional journey. You go on a journey of self-discovery. And at the end of it, guess what you can do? Guess what you can do, my dear? You can choose a different attitude no matter what life throws at you. Bam! We just did whatever the opposite of surface dwelling is. We just did a deep dive on a seemingly simple sentence that I found somewhere. I don't know where. Now, as you're scrolling through social media, how many memes do you see that you share? Oh, I love this. Isn't this a beautiful quote? This is a quotable quote. That's surface dwelling. Until you deep dive on it, do what we've just done with it. And it's got to be more than what we've just done. The truth is, this snippet's been going on for 15 minutes? That's a deep dive in terms of we've talked about it, but now we got to live it for a while. We got to do it day after day, practice it, fall down, forget about it, come back to it, try again, and be patient. And again, doing all that alone is like trying to pull your own teeth. So the point of today was just to show you one example of the opposite of surface dwelling and also give you a beautiful idea that the solution to every problem in your life, my dear, is a different attitude. And if you'd like to have a reflection, an objective reflection in your world, right? I mentioned that a few minutes ago, that we need an objective reflection. What does that mean? It means somebody who can see us in ways we can't see ourselves. We all have blind spots. If you're interested in that, the sacred mirror is a beautiful, beautiful experience that lives here in Snippet Land and only in Snippet Land. I created it. It's my baby. And it's open. The doors are open for you, my dear. The link to it is in the show notes. And what is it? It's a simple online form where you share a little bit of your story with me, and I respond by flipping on this microphone and sending you back a voice note, a voice reflection, an objective reflection of the story you share. This is just short. You just share a few sentences. You're not typing out your whole life story. The Sacred Mirror, the women who do it, love it. I love doing it, and the door is wide open right now. I invite you to. If you haven't tried it, maybe today is the day that you do. And if you're one of those women who has a hard time finding show notes, the link is there, but I do hear from women, Becca, I can't find the show notes. Then I simply want you to go to beccajacobson.com. That's it, beccajacobson.com. And right on my homepage is what? The Sacred Mirror. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.